2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Arlene. Yeah. Thank you. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. You're doing a great job, Aaron. How you doing, Dave? Ready, Jerry? Hello? Wow. Okay. Let's stand here and celebrate, right? Family. We are a family. And I want to hear everybody open their mouths and bring out the joy this morning, right? There was a time in my life and to do it all by myself. Had to hear the praise of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, start through another day. You've got to let it go. Let it all go, and this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. In my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. In my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. So Reverend Arlene is speaking about forgiveness today. And forgiveness is something that we all experience most every day, at least at some point, I think, especially if you're out on the road, right? And and one of the most important things I think is to forgive yourself as well as forgiving other people, because you have to be okay with yourself and you're going to let go of the situation. So this is a song called Freedom of Forgiveness. There's a sweetness in surrender when you remember who you are. It's not the things in life that you've been through that make you who you are. There's a freedom in forgiveness when you learn to just let go. Holding on so tight won't change a thing, and change is how we grow. Learn how to live and learn to forgive yourself. Forgiving yourself, you can learn to forgive someone else. Learn how to love and learn to forgive yourself. Forgiving yourself, you can learn to forgive someone else. You'll find the way. You'll find the way. You know the way. Thank you. Okay, and now we go. Now we're going to be going into the meditation part of our service. So if you want to get comfortable in your chairs, and we're going to be singing Blessing to the World, starting with you. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of Spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. Now sing it to yourself. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of Spirit on earth. And who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world. Now let's bring it home together with you. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of Spirit on earth. And who we are and all we do is a blessing to the world, is a blessing to the world.
This morning's daily word was Sunday, July 10th, 2022. limitless substance. I now surrender my conscious mind to the full and complete direction of spirit, knowing that I have ears to hear and eyes to see this guidance in all its perfect form and the wisdom to follow it. Today, I remain open to every idea, every perfect possibility of good, and today, in this moment, I open myself up to an even greater good than yesterday, knowing that Spirit is now saying yes to me in direct proportion to my yes to it. There is nothing real to oppose me. Even that which appears to oppose me is even now working for my good. Today is a day of seemingly unceasing miracles as I open my awareness to the expressive good of God in every area of my life. I continuously use the creative power of the universe, knowing that it is forever at my disposal. There is that within me which is forever drawing all good to me. I exist in a field of infinite possibility and unlimited potential. There is nothing opposed to my good except my own limited thoughts about my good. So today, I surrender those thoughts now and make way to the perfect divine idea for this day and for my life. For the law responds by corresponding. So I am now creating thoughts and images of my good, of perfect love, unyielding harmony, abiding peace, overflowing joy, and unending abundance in every area of my life. I now expand my idea of life. I expand my idea of what is possible and simply allow it to be in my experience. I claim and accept that each moment is better than the one preceding it. As I continually expand into experiences of ever-growing, ever-flowing good, divine intuition guides my thoughts today, so I let it unfold perfectly. These words are seeds planted in my consciousness. I fertilize them with nourishing thoughts, ideas, and actions, and the great law of life is now acting upon them. The seeds cannot help but bear fruit. My consciousness is continually expanding with the fruits of these seeds, yielding more and more love, more and more peace, more and more joy, more and more harmony, and more abundance in every area of my life. I have an unlimited command of my life. I am a powerful creator of my experiences, and the entirety of creation is now supporting my good. I am so grateful for this day. I am so grateful for my ever-expanding good that is even now manifesting in my experience. I am so grateful for the consciousness that allows this awareness. I am so grateful for this day. I am so grateful for my family. I am so grateful for my community. I am so grateful for my life. I am so grateful to be grateful. And having simply set the table for the abundance in my life, knowing that the table is set and the storehouse is full, I sit myself back, I relax, and I welcome this day with enthusiasm, with excitement, and expectancy. I take my human hands off this day and let God be God in my life. And so it is. Amen.
Now maybe when he sings we can go back. His mic's good. That's the channel's on. See, his mic, he's gonna sing. He'll sing. Because he got plenty of piano.
Thank you. God, that's loud. Thank you, Bill. So today, we've been talking about relationships, and do I sound loud to everybody? Yes. Thank you. It's like, you think it's loud out there, you should hear it in here. It's like really loud in here. So anyway, and I have enough trouble hearing the voices in here. Anyway, so we're talking about relationships. We're continuing. We're going to talk about forgiveness because, if you're in any kind of relationship at all, at some point or another, you have to deal with forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of those things that it doesn't matter what religion you look at, they always talk about it. It is part of us being on this planet, part of us being alive, part of us breathing. And so we usually have forgiveness issues with ourselves, with others, with God. If we can have forgiveness with anything, we do. It could be with a dog. It could be with anything, a plant because it dies on you, whatever. So this whole idea about forgiveness is it, and we carry it with us, and it's really hard carrying with us. So Mark Twain tells a story about a frog who was the best jumper until someone opened his mouth and filled it with quail shot before a contest. And the frog was so weighted down that he couldn't jump, and the other person won the race. So that's what unforgiveness does for us. It's like someone taking this quail shots and putting it in us and weighing us down, because we get weighed down when we hold unforgiveness. So I was seeing a therapist many years ago, and I had lots of unforgiveness. And so she said to me, go take a walk around the block 4 times. And then I want you to go home and pick up some weights and walk around the block 4 times again. And then I went back and she said, well, how was it? I said, it was really hard walking with those weights. And she said, that's what unforgiveness is. We carry it around with us like a sack of potatoes that is rotting. And we just don't want to let go of it. And usually we don't want to let go of it because we somehow think that if we forgive whoever we are holding an unforgiveness to, that they're getting away with something. Right? You have if I forgive them, then they're getting away with something. The Buddha said that unforgiveness is like taking poison and hoping the other person would die. We're the ones suffering. Most of the time, the people that we are having trouble forgiving, they don't even know. They're not even affected by it. They're going on with their life and everything is good, and we're carrying this around with us, and it's affecting our life. And so we have to remember that we have to forgive. So there's an African proverb which states, he who forgives ends the quarrel. Think about it. There is no quarrel if someone forgives. Only one person really has to forgive, and that's really the end of the quarrel. So we forgive, and it is a process of giving up, and we have people to forgive, and we have ourselves to forgive. And ourselves sometimes are the hardest ones to forgive, right? We hold on to stuff we did. I should have, could have, would have. If I hadn't done this, if I hadn't done that, this would have happened. And so we carry around this unforgiveness. And when I used to, sometimes I'd be upset with myself about something, and I would be like, oh, I should have, would have, could have, and I'd say something to Christopher, and he would say to me, just say, I forgive myself. And I'd be like, I don't want to say that, because then I might forgive myself. And I'm having a really good time with this pity party. Me, myself, and I are just really having a good time. But the fact of the matter is that that's what we have to do. We have to decide we want to forgive. Because if we don't decide we want to forgive, we don't forgive. And so Jesus also taught us about forgiving over and over and over again. And when Peter asked Jesus how often, 7 times 7, and Jesus said, no, 7 times 77 times. In other words, as long as it takes for you to forgive. And everything is different depending on what you're trying to forgive. So Jesus tells this story of the unmerciful servant. It's in Matthew. And this is about forgiveness. And it goes this way. Therefore, the kingdom of heaven likened unto a certain king which would take accounts of his servants. And when he had begun to recon, one was brought unto him, which owed him 10,000 talents. But for as much as he had not paid, the Lord commanded him to be sold, and his wife, and the children, and his children, all that he had, and payment be made. The servant fell down on his knees and worshipped him, and saying, Lord, have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. Then the Lord of that servant was moved with compassion, and loosened him, and forgave him the debt. But the same servant went out and found one of his fellow servants who owed him money, owed him 100 pence. And he laid hands on him and took him by the throat, saying, Pay me what you owe me. And his fellow servants fell down on his feet and besought him, saying, Have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. And he would not. So he cast him into prison until he would pay the debt. So his fellow servants heard what he had done and went back and told the Lord what he had done. And then the Lord, after hearing this, called him back and said, O wicked servant, I forgave thee all thy debt because they desire it. And you should have also had compassion on your fellow servant, just as I had pity on you. And so he delivered the debtor to his torments and put him into jail. That's just So what it is the fact that we don't want to forgive other people, but we want other people to forgive us. It's like, I want God to forgive me, or I want you to forgive me. However, I don't want to forgive this person over here. And it doesn't work that way. We either forgive. If we want to be forgiven, we have to forgive others. And that's not easy. It's just that we want to hold on to this stuff. Somehow we think when we hold on to something, it's going to make it better. And forgiveness has to come from within. And sometimes it has to happen to us. So I was having trouble forgiving my father, who wasn't even alive anymore. It wasn't like he kept doing anything. I mean, he was dead. But I was having this trouble. And I'm like, forgive, for people telling me forgive, and I'm like, I just cannot forgive. I'm sorry, I just cannot forgive this. And so they said to pray. They said, pray for forgiveness and pray that you forgive him. Well, I said, I don't want to pray for forgiveness. So I thought, okay, I can pray for the willingness to be willing to forgive. I wasn't even going to pray for the willingness to forgive, but I was praying for the willingness to be willing to forgive. That was the most I could do. And so I kept praying for the willingness to be willing. And then one day, all of a sudden, I thought, I can pray for the willingness to forgive. So I started praying for the willingness to forgive. And then one time I was praying and meditating, and all of a sudden, it was like this wave of forgiveness overcame me. And I knew I had forgiven him. I knew it. I mean, we were talking about this earlier. Sometimes you think you've forgiven someone until you see them. Has that ever happened? You have a neighbor or something, and you think you've forgiven them, and then you see them, and then you realize, well, I guess I haven't forgiven them because I really want to do something, like scratch his car or whatever. So obviously I haven't forgiven this person. So, but then there are those times when we do forgive, and we know we've forgiven because even if we see the person or we hear about the person or whatever, there's no emotion. The emotion is gone because we have forgiven them. So we have to keep praying for forgiveness. And forgiveness is a process. Sometimes it happens quickly, but most of the time it doesn't. Most of the time we have to be praying for the willingness to forgive. So people say, well, what about those terrible things? Everyone's got like the worst thing in the world. If someone does this to you, would you forgive them? So there is a book and a movie called The Shack. We showed the movie here. And the book is about a man who is having trouble because his daughter is abducted and killed.
You just
and
let him get away with it.
That this little girl,
Nobody
lots of
gets
terrible
away.
things happen to her. And so he cannot forgive. No matter what, he cannot forgive. Now, this is an act of terrible violence on his young child. And this is one of those things that people will say, oh, I couldn't forgive that, I couldn't forgive that. So he goes on his trip, and somehow he winds up at this shack. And the shack turns out to not be a shack. It was actually the shack where the daughter had been kept. And he meets 3 people who represent the Holy Spirit, Jesus, and God. And they try and teach him about forgiveness. So he goes to this cave and he meets this person who represents God. God in this shows up differently. Shows up as a Native American man. It shows up as a African American woman, because God is whatever. So he meets this man and he says, I just cannot forgive this person. And this is a scene from that movie. Where he encounters what is God and has been asked to forgive and says he cannot forgive. Right?
So you just let him get away with it.
Nobody gets away with anything. Everything bears consequences.
What he did.
It was horrible. I'm not asking you to excuse what he did. I'm asking you to trust me, to do what's right, and to know what's best.
And then what?
Forgiveness doesn't establish your relationship. It's just about letting go of his throat. Mac, the pain inside is devouring you, robbing you of joy and crippling your capacity to love.
I can't.
You're not stuck because you can't. You're stuck because you won't.
So I love that line. We don't not forgive because we can't forgive someone. We don't forgive somebody or something because we won't. The choice is ours whether we forgive or not. We can hold on to something for a long time, but the fact of the matter is that we are the one who suffers. And so there's a process. Forgiveness is a process. So there's certain steps in this process of forgiveness. And the first step is we have to take responsibility for what we have done, for our part in it. Usually with anything, there's 2 sides to it. Actually, there's 3 sides to it. It's theirs, and the right one, which is usually neither one. I just have to tell you this. So I had this couple I was really good friends with, both the male and the female, and they got married. And anyway, and they used to talk to me all the time. And they would tell me, oh, you wouldn't believe, tell me this side of the story. And they would tell me that side of the story. And, and I would say to Christopher, they're not even in the same book. Forget about the same story. I don't even understand how 2 people could see something so completely different. So that's what happens. We have to take responsibility for our part because, folks, we always have a part. We always have a part. Now, I'm not saying a young child probably doesn't have a part, but we have a part. And that part may be not willing to let go of the forgiveness. or the part may be, we have to look at our part of it. And then we have to look for good points in the other person. Everybody has good. We were talking about this earlier before. Everybody has some good in them. But when we have trouble forgiving someone, we only see the bad. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And we have this story we tell over and over again. And what this man has told us to let go of the story. So we have to look at ourselves, and then we have to admit to God and to someone else about what's going on, because our secrets keep us sick. When we hold on to something within us, it keeps us sick. We need to be able to talk to someone and say what is going on with us, because otherwise what happens is we allow people to rent space free in our head. Have you ever had someone rent space in your head? You like going on, and all you can think about is what someone did to you. And so they're taking up your brain. They're taking up your head. They're taking up your capacity to have a conscious contact with God. They're taking that all up because they're renting space in your head. So you have to be able to look at something. And once we see our part of it, then the relationship can heal. So one more story. I had a sister. I didn't talk to her for 20 years. And it was time I knew I had to resolve this relationship. And I had to take a look at my part in it. And when I saw my part in it, then I was able to write her a letter to make amends, owning up to my part, not saying to her, well, you did this and this and this. That's the other thing. When we don't forgive people, we point fingers. You did this, you did this, you did this, you did this. And then we never look at what we're doing. So we have to look at our part in it. And then I made amends for what I had done, not bringing up anything at all what she had done. And then 2 weeks later, I got a letter from her, and now we have this great relationship. So it took a long time, but it took me to see where I was at that. Because if you're not talking to somebody, especially a relative, for 20 years, usually it took two people to get you to that point. It's rarely just one person. So we have to take a close look at everything. And we have to remember that we have to see that we have a part of it, that there's good in the other person, and then we have to be willing to let it go. We have to be willing to let it go. And when it is us, we have to really be willing to let it go. We can't would've, should've, could've on ourselves, right? I don't know if anyone else does that, but I sure do. I should have done this, I could have done that, I would have done that, why didn't I do that? And then we hold ourselves hostage almost because we blame ourselves for all this stuff instead of forgiving ourselves. So it's sometimes just as easy as saying, I forgive myself. I had a friend who's having trouble with this. I said, write down as many times as it takes, I forgive myself, I forgive myself, I forgive myself. Look in the mirror and say, I forgive myself, I forgive myself, I forgive myself. And then give yourself the same compassion that you would give someone else. If someone came to you and said, I'm really sorry, I messed up, and I did this, and I'm really sorry, would you forgive me? You probably would go, yes, I forgive you. Do we do it to ourselves? No, we usually don't do it to ourselves. So I want you all to close your eyes for a moment. We're going to do a little forgiveness exercise. So I want you to take a deep breath, close your eyes, and begin to release the tension in your body. Because very often when you talk about forgiveness, it can cause tension. You could find you're clutching your hands together or clenching your hands, or heart is beating a little faster. Just begin to relax the body by breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and out. With each breath, feel yourself slowly relaxing, calming down, and becoming present. Now travel through your mind to the meadows of your innermost being. Picture a sunlight, spring, crisp day, fragrant breezes, and as you breathe, feel the warmth of the sun and the wind caressing your body. And now begin to attune yourself more and more to this beautiful spring meadow that you're in. Butterflies are flying, birds are singing, and you are at peace, complete peace. You can just feel God's presence in everything around you. This is a place of safety, a place where wisdom from within fills your very being. So as you sit in this safe, peaceful meadow, you see a path coming out from some woods nearby. And you see someone walking on the path towards you. At first, you can't see who that person is. But as the figure gets closer and closer, you see that it is someone you have not forgiven, or someone that you feel guilty about for having done something to them. The person continues to walk closer to you until they are right in front of you. Look at the person. Look into their eyes. Look beyond the outer appearance into their very souls. Look for something good in this person. One good thing that they might have done for you or someone else. If the person in front of you is someone that you have injured or neglected, think about something that you have done that was kind or loving for that person. Continue looking at the person in front of you and take a moment to stay in that feeling of goodness. Goodness within them and goodness within you. And now say to that person, I forgive you. Or if it is yourself you have to forgive, say, I forgive myself. And repeat that 3 times to yourself. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. And now say to that person, I release you and I set you free. I release you and I set you free. And see that person turn into a ball of light that slowly fades away. until you find yourself again alone in the meadow. But now you know the truth. You are never alone. The presence of God enfolds you. The presence of God is within you. You are at peace. And now silently express your gratitude for the opportunity to forgive and be forgiven. Feel the freedom, the lightness, as if 100 pounds was taken off of you. And then whenever you are ready, take your time, take a few deep breaths, and come back to this room, feeling lighter, freer, and knowing the truth. The truth shall set us free. And that truth is forgiveness. And so it is. Amen.
There is a composer, he's a theater composer. His name is Stephen Sondheim. Some of you probably have heard of him. He passed away a few months ago, and he was an amazing person, what he gave the world. And one of his musicals is called Into the Woods, and it's about the fairy tales like Cinderella and Red Riding Hood and the baker, and these people go into the woods and they think, oh, it's just going to be a lark. But what happens is they really find out that they have to forgive, and the forgiveness happens between parents and kids, between spouses. Everyone in the show gets to forgive. So this is called No One Is Alone. No one here to guide you. Now you're on your own. Only me beside you. Still you're not alone. No one is alone. Truly no one is alone. Sometimes people leave you halfway through the wood. Others may deceive you. You decide what's good. You decide alone. But no one is alone. People make mistakes. Fathers, mothers, people make mistakes, holding to their own, thinking they're alone. Honor their mistakes. Everybody makes one another's terrible mistakes. Witches can be right. Giants can be good. You decide what's right. You decide what's good. Just remember, someone is on your side. Someone else is not. While you're seeing your side, maybe you forgot. They are not alone. No one is alone. Hard to see the light now. Just don't let it go. Things will work out right now. We can make it so. Someone is on your side. No one is alone. Thank you. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you, Reverend Arlene. That was just perfect. Do you ever come in and hear Reverend Arlene's message and say, she was talking to me directly every Sunday, right? At Unity, we have 5 basic principles that we believe in. They are, God is all good and active in everything, everywhere. I am naturally good because God's divinity is in me and in everyone. I create my experiences by what I choose to think and what I feel and believe. Through affirmative prayer and meditation, I connect with God and bring out the good in my life. I do and give my best by living the truth that I know. I make a difference. And we also believe in the principle of giving and by giving and receiving, we are giving to our ministry. It's reverberating. That's the only reason I have it pulled away. I have a big voice. So as our trustees pass the baskets, that is one way that we do donate. We also can donate by texting into 77977 and in the message put Unity of OC Give. Also, we have the old-fashioned way of just mailing in our checks. And these do help us in many ways. We just can keep our doors going and open, and we can keep our ministry running. And remember that your donations are tax deductible as well. Okay. We do have our offering prayer. So if you would put your hands together.
Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
And I am grateful, and we always give in love. Do we have any first-timers here today? Anyone here today for the first time? Not today. Okay. How about second-timers? Second time. We have someone in the back. It's afraid to raise their hand. I don't know why. They're here for the second time, so, you know.
Your sister, cool.
Right. Very nice. Well, welcome back. So nice to see you. Before we close, I do have a few announcements for today. All right. If you're looking for a way to serve Unity of Orange County, we are looking for Sunday angels, and these angels are the people that help us set up and tear down. And so if you are interested, please see any one of our board members. If our board members would stand so that people know who you are, just see them and let them know that you are interested in helping. And that would we're so grateful, because it does take many hands to get this place together, believe it or not. We have to take down, tear up, do this, do that, and it just goes a lot quicker if we have many hands to do that. Our the book, The Silent Voice by Christopher on homelessness is now on sale at the lulu.com shop, and there is a sample out on the foyer with a flyer with all the information on it, and it's an absolutely beautiful book, and so I do suggest that you all take a good look at it. And that would also go to our Unity Church. The Unity of OC August outreach, we're looking for donations of wrapped pastries, cookies or snacks that will be donated to the OC Mental Health Center. And they really enjoyed our coffee that we donated. So for the month of July, if you would please bring some wrapped goodies, that would be very, very helpful. There's a new class beginning Tuesday, July 26th, the Metaphysical Interpretation of the Bible on Zoom at 6:30. Our facilitator will be Reverend Arlene. So please tune in. Do we have our Zoom number? And also look at our webpage, and then the information is there as well. Every Sunday, we will be continuing with the 50-50 raffle. And you can see Tom. Tom, stand up so we know who Tom is. And you can buy a raffle ticket, and at the end of the month, we will have a drawing. So be sure and see Tom. I think the raffle tickets are $1. One for $1, 5, 6 for 10, 20, I don't know. And a nice donation. That's all we ask. All right? Okay. We are all filled with light, so let's stand and sing This Little Light of Mine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Now, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
And so everyone has got somebody?
On earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that is meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
The light of God surrounds us.
I am the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
I am the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
I am the power of God.
And the presence of God watches over us.
I am the presence of God.
And together, wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Yay, God.